You are now watching Zach Lesage PTCG. Let's get it! Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Zach Lesage here, and today I'm actually going to be giving you a little bit of an update on my Crobat VMAX deck list. So I said when I was making the video that I was going to test the deck a little bit more, and if there's any changes that I found, I would totally let y'all know. I actually made a few of those changes, so I do want to let you know exactly what I've changed, why I've changed it, etc, etc. So hopefully you enjoy this little bit of an update video. I won't be including gameplay because I don't necessarily think it changes much about the deck, but I do think this list is a little bit better, and hopefully it points you into the right direction if you do decide to build a Crobat VMAX deck list. So the deck list is in the description below. Use code ZLesage5 at PTCGO if you're looking for any of the cards for this deck list, or if you're looking for any cards to complete your collection or any other decks. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. This deck's super powerful, super fun to play, so let's check out the deck, see what's poppin'. So here's the updated version of the deck that I featured on my channel the other day. So I featured the Crobat VMAX deck, totally cool deck, totally love Crobat VMAX, but I wasn't sure if I was feeling the Toxicroak in the deck. So I've had some comments, including from Darren Jocks, who was able to place well at the Sunday Open with the deck. He was saying more so that the Toxicroak is good in the Blacephalon matchup. It can help do things against Volcanion and stuff like that. For me, I'm not sure if we actually need that, and if we do need that, I might even do another correctional video on this. So today we're just going to be featuring the deck list of this video, and I'll explain my thoughts on it and why I think it's better. So I cut the Toxicroaks out of the deck to focus on a larger Altaria line. Altaria felt like it carried this deck a lot, and just going hit and run into an Altaria felt extremely good. I could see Pokemon such as Zamazenta, Galarian Stunfisk being good in this deck, and heck, I think the Toxicroak has a place in some of these lists as well, depending on how the metagame shapes up. Again, a lot of the Shining Fates metagame is unknown, so right now I think it's just safer to go with the Altaria line, stopping all V, VMAX, and GX similar to a Decidueye. When it comes to Crobat allowing you to set up is great. Stealth Poison is a great kind of thing. Sometimes you want to bop Pokemon off your bench with Giovannis Exile, similar to Mad Party. Now, one thing that I've done, I've cut down a little bit of the fat of this deck, like the Eldegoss, the Toxicroak, so it might need a second Giovannis Exile, or it might need a Palpad, or it might need something like that. Same thing, I'm unsure if it needs Crushing Hammers, but overall, the whole strategy here is bring up Pokemon that are threats to Altaria with Crobat VMAX and attack with Stealth Poison, continuously going into Altaria. Since this deck doesn't play a lot of techs, you can go with the full U-Turn version of the deck instead of going with Air Balloon, so that means you can continuously loop. You have Ordinary Rod if your opponent's getting through your Altarias, and you also have access to Lillies Pokédolls, so in case you don't want to give your opponent knockouts on Altarias. I think that overall those kind of work out really well. It's really just Giovanni's Exile is going to work to knock out our bench Pokemon. Maybe decks will be a little bit more they might naturally be able to beat Crobat VMAX just by playing Galarian Zigzagoon. Giovanni's Exile might not work out, but overall I think the focus on switching this to an Altaria based deck, fully an Altaria based deck, and just going Stealth Poison, sure, it makes this deck a little bit more boring, but boring doesn't necessarily mean bad. I think boring means consistent a lot of the time. Here, you got access to those Crushing Hammers. I think Crushing Hammers is a great way to slow down Pokemon that can knock out Altaria. So basically, every decision I've made has been to get out Altarias, get out Crobats with the extra copy of Capture Energy. I think it's much better to have extra Altarias to get out Altarias in general. I think it's much better to have Crushing Hammer in the deck to remove energies for things that can harm Altaria. Lysanders, Boss's Orders, to be able to bring up things that could harm the Altaria. So overall, it feels more like an Altaria deck a little bit, but I think the Crobat VMAX, the Stealth Poison can do enough. I am slightly worried that something like Altaria might not necessarily be able to keep up in certain metagames. It might just be like another Decigoon's clone, maybe with a slightly different matchup spread. But this is the way that I'd be playing the deck overall if I were playing it in a tournament. I think it seems so much better because the Toxicroak was really just adding up to the bench. At least Altarias, you could always have them and your opponent can't necessarily play around Altarias. And if you're playing against something like Pikarom, if you do bench something like Crobat VMAX, you can always use Giovanni's Exile to try to discard Pokemon off your bench. So I think the one-off copy is cute for now. It might be something that needs to grow to 2. Everything else seems kind of fine and normal for this deck. Again, like I did just cover this deck on the channel, so I don't want to go through too much of it. The reset stamps have been working incredibly well when your opponent's just like, you could reset stamp them in the last moment. But I do like that you could kind of go into a pure Altaria late game and be like, okay, cool, you have absolutely zero answers to my deck, you lose the game. Similar to how like Decigoons and other decks will scoop up net their other things that you can't knock out, and then just leave the Decidueyes. So the Giovannis Exile really allows this to happen, where you could kind of just like discard Pokemon. Like it really, I think, just kind of works for this kind of deck. Again, I'm still not sure if one is the count. I'd love to have an Eldegoss in here, but I don't know if I want to play Eldegoss, play Giovanni's Exile, get back Giovanni's Exile. Because when you have Pokemon on the bench that stay too long, your opponent will put a Galarian, Zigzagoon, Ping, or find a way to spread damage to them to kind of stop exactly what's going on. So you have to basically play Giovanni's Exile at a well-timed, and if it doesn't work out, it might be worthwhile to cut from the deck as well. So one thing that I'd say is if you really like this deck, play this deck. I think this deck's super fun. It's actually a lot more competitively viable than a lot of players think. But the biggest issues you're going to find here is that decks might naturally have counters towards the deck. The deck is still a growing archetype. As you can see, I've already made 2 videos in 1 week with this deck, just trying to slightly update, seeing what's going on here. It's still something that we could work on going forward, but the metagame's not settled at this time. I recently played in the Chill TCG Invitational. I played Eternatus. It was filled with Decigoons. I didn't realize that the format was going to be a continuation of our GG Tour Chill TCG Regionals Top 8s. That's really what it seems like we're at now. So as the upcoming weeks continuously like place our metagame or change a little bit, expect me to change up some of these lists towards the happening metagame and really see exactly what's going on. I'm not sure on the matchup spread on this deck yet, as again, like I haven't had too much experience playing in a full Shining Fates metagame, but it does seem like Altaria can carry you against a lot of the matchups. I think that Crobat VMAX is also an incredible attacker. So I think just going after some of the more bigger VMAX decks, usually triple prize card decks are going to be very good matchups for a deck like this. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. So let me know, do you think Toxicroak's needed in this deck? Do you have any cool techs that you've seen in this deck or that you've been testing in this deck? What is going on with your version of Crobat VMAX? And at the same time, maybe it's not Altaria. Maybe this deck would be better to go with a 4/4 Toxicroak and you're just swinging for so much extra damage, doing 150 damage every single attack. So 70 from Stealthy Poison or Stealth Poison, and then 80 from the Poison, or an extra 90 from Poison. However it works out for the math. I mean, I think a lot of it can be quite powerful with a type of deck like this. So maybe it's not an Altaria deck overall. This is just my current take on the list, and again, it has been testing so much better, but I do want to, I'm always in search of the better concepts, better decks, things like that. So pick up some of these cards from Hidden Fates, or not Hidden Fates, Shining Fates, similar sets. Crobat VMAX I think is a lot better than most people have realized, and I think it has the Shining version as well that's coming out on PTCGO very soon. So stay tuned for that box when it comes out. Pick up some codes at PTCGOstore.com if you're trying to figure it out. But yeah, let me know what you feel about in the comments below. So there we have it, folks. That's the updated list. And again, I invite you to test this deck out. I think this deck is incredibly powerful, incredibly fun to play. And it kind of showcases that Shining Fates is a set that a lot of us slept on. Even though there's not too many new cards added in, a lot of the cards that got added in seem to be quite powerful in our current metagame and can definitely make a little bit of a splash. I've already seen a lot of these decks starting the top tournaments. I think a lot of these concepts have a little bit more potential than what's already being shown, and a lot of it is quite fun, and it's keeping me a little bit more vested in Pokemon than I originally thought it would. I thought this set was just going to be like Champion's Path, where it did absolutely nothing towards our metagame besides 1 or 2 fun videos. And I mean, the videos have been fun. I just think there's something a little bit more with these cards. And maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just a personal fan of these hidden run type decks. Kind of brings me back to the days where I was playing Gliscor level X back in the day. But I do expect to put a lot more Shining Fates content on my channel, while I anticipate and I sit here patiently or impatiently at this point for the release of Battle Styles, a set that I'm super excited for. I mean, I think each set that's going to come out is going to be a banger from this point out. So finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think Standard's going to be a little bit less dull. And as the format looks a little bit less dull, hopefully we're able to start playing Pokemon a little bit more in real life than what we're currently used to. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this little bit of an update. I think I'm going to start doing this, especially like on days where I'm doing the podcast, days where I might have a little bit more of a shorter video. I'm probably going to have a partner shorter video such as this that kind of explains an updated deck. It might not necessarily need a full-fledged video or gameplay that already exists in the other video. It's not really going to change too much, but I do think this is a much better list. So let me know what you think about this deck. Let me know what you think about me releasing more videos, stuff like that in the comments below. Again, I appreciate all the love and support as always, and I'm going to continuously try to make the best content I possibly can. So have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks again for watching, and yeah, I'll catch up with y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you haven't already, it'd mean the world to me if you could subscribe to help support me as a content creator. Thanks again, and have yourself a great one.